What is up, you guys? Thank you for tuning in for another video. If you haven't seen it, go check out the last video, the Booty Hustlers 24-hour drift day. I'm actually like rendering it right now, but yeah, just got back from that, and at the end I was like, I'm gonna switch my wheels. That's why I have these wheels. But yeah, we're about to drive all the way back to my original hometown and go work on the Mk3 Supra. So I have all the stuff right here. Let me show you guys. This is just like the last video. But got the Redline MT90, we got adapter plate, flywheel, clutch pressure plate, clutch pedal, gas pedal, master cylinder, clutch line, slave cylinder, engine oil. It's funny, I'm actually going with the Amazon Basics engine oil because it's actually got good reviews. But Mobile One filter always. And yeah, guys, we're gonna get ready to hit the road here and go get this Supra finished up so I can swap the 3UZ in. And all that's really not finished yet is the drive shaft and the harness is what I don't have sorted yet. So just gotta get those two things sorted and she'll be running. So stay tuned and we're gonna get the show on the road for you. Alright, you guys, so we're out here at DeLong Fab's shop. It's one of the Rangers that he's working on. Here's my Supra, and this was actually a swap that he's working on right now, which is pretty intense. It's actually a full cab swap, chassis swap on this. It's a Toyota pickup going onto a Chevy 3/4 ton chassis. So we'll talk a little bit about that later, but right now we've got my 3UZ here. I had it delivered over here. If you guys saw my video where I went and bought the motor, had it delivered here. It looks so clean. I'm super happy with it. Haven't even unwrapped it yet. But what we're gonna do, I haven't even showed you guys any of this stuff that we've been doing to the Supra, but check it out, you guys. So we've got a full tube front by DeLong Fabrication here. Same guy who did the front end and everything on my Lexus over there. And we did a full removable front crash bar, radiator mounts, lower support bar down there, just some reinforcement here, and I thought it looked cool as well. Plated straight there. Everything holds stock front end fenders, bumper, pop-up lights, and everything. I'm not going to show you guys that right now, but right now what we're going to be doing is taking this off, taking this 1UZ non-vvti out, because I was going to put this with a turbo setup. You see I have the turbo setup going here. Was going to do that for this car, but I'm not, changing my mind. So we're putting the 3UZ in, and this 1UZ non-vvti is actually going in a car that's sitting over there on the other side of his yard there. And yeah, this is just going to be more of a basic setup. And look, we got the matter. He said calm down. But yeah, guys, we're about to get to work on this, pull this non-vvti out. But yeah, she's ready. Check it out. Don't worry, you got your plug, you got your shout out. Alright, you guys, so first things first in getting this swap done, I just got the 3UZ taken out of the packaging. And so first things first, Mk3 Supra, it requires a rear sump pan for all of its swaps, whether you're doing a 1UZ, JZ, or whatever. So for this motor, when I picked it up, I got an SC400 engine because it was thick rod. This is a thick rod motor, and it was rear sump. So LS400's front sump, SC400 rear sump. So SC400 motor, IS300, it needs front sump. So when I picked up this 3UZ, I thought it was going to be like the 1UZ VVTi that I got and just be front sump. And I'll be honest, when I did that swap, I wasn't even too aware of the whole front sump thing. I just got lucky and it happened to be front sump and it fit. So anyways, moving back to here, I thought this was front sump this whole time. I guess I didn't really check when I picked up the engine. And I thought I was going to have to swap this sump to this. But I was just looking under here, and this is rear sump. You can tell because, well, this is the rear of the engine. And the sumps, it's almost like a mid sump, but no, that's rear sump because look, that would be the front up there. Look, so look, that's a rear sump. So is this one, and watch, I'll show you guys on my other 1UZ car. because I am the 1UZ4 father, as you may know. No, I'm just kidding. But for this one, as you can see, it's kind of dirty because my power steering. But that's front sump, all the way at the front of the engine. And then you can see it goes back because the cross member's right there. So that's front sump, all the way at the front. So this one is definitely rear sump, or mid sump, whatever. So that's good news, because then I don't have to mess with any of the seals, because this thing is sealed so nicely. And these are some expensive solar panels. But yeah, I didn't want to have to mess with these seals because it's honestly really nice. That's what I like about these engines, that they come so nicely sealed. So as long as this isn't some type of weird mid sump, because I was watching I think the guy from New Zealand's video the other day about all the different sumps. I think this sump's gonna fit, long story short. So yeah, that's pretty good news. I'm just gonna take this engine out, compare the sumps obviously, and then go from there. I'm gonna pick up a couple hoses, refresh these, put new clamps so I don't have to do it when it's in the car. I'm gonna do the starter mod, and then put the clutch kit and all that stuff on. I might cut these flanges off because I think those are gonna get in our way as usual. And yeah, I was just getting ready to take off the hood because sometimes it's nice to take off the hood when you're pulling an engine because it gets in the way of the top of the crane right here. But I realized this, my buddy Owen's Mk3 Supra, he has a carbon fiber hood. He just leans it all the way back at the track. And literally look at, when you remove those hood struts, look how far you can push it back. I could even go further, but this is perfect for standing it up, and then I'll be able to pull the engine easy. I took off my removable bumper. It's really nice there. So yeah, we're gonna get this 1UZ out of here, and I was gonna put this on the stand, but I don't think I need to anymore because I'm not gonna do the pans. So I think I'm just gonna move it aside and come pull this out. So stay tuned. All right, so we pulled this out. Had her nice in there, but like I was saying, this is literally the same sump as that one over there. So this is gonna be perfect. The 3UZ can go right in. I just gotta take these XAT racing mounts, take these off. These are actually billet mounts. Take those off. I put some tape on the threads to protect it the first time. I'm gonna take that off, and then this is just gonna go to the side for now. All right, here's another look at the chassis work he did. Look at that shit. All right, you guys, so we got the non-vvti out of the car. See, focus, 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 and there we go. Clean non-vvti, I'll tell you that. And then we got our 3UZ here, and we're gonna have to take this off. Although we are running it, we're gonna take off these bolts here, and then we are gonna have to do what's known as the starter mod, where we replace these bolts here. And other than that, it should be pretty much good to go, and we're gonna put it in, and then I think I'm gonna put the transmission on afterwards from underneath. So let's see, we gotta get this off, put the, and then also you gotta do your pilot bushing adapter, which goes here. So I'll show you that in a minute. Do you know what this is?
Motor mount?
Not for real.
Was it billet motor mount?
No, 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 buddy. It's not motor mount. This is a pilot bearing adapter. Oh. Because the 1UZ does not come in manual, so it has this giant crank snout. But we're using a Nissan transmission, so it pops right in here. Pop, pop. And then this is actually a replaceable OEM style Nissan throwout bearing. Sorry, pilot bearing, not throwout bearing. Sorry. Fuck that up. So we just took this little orange hammer, I lubed it up a bit. You gotta get it all the way until that's flush.
Use the bigger one, dude.
She's not good yet. One more. One more. There we go. Yeah. Perfection. Can we focus, please? There we go. Yeah, that's good. On to the next step, which is, I don't know.
That's not the venomous one that fucking...
Alright, you guys, so I'm gonna show you guys real quick the order that you stack all of these things in order to make this work properly, how I've done it in the past, okay? So you have your crank, we already put our pilot bushing adapter, and then we have the thick spacer that's always against the flywheel, against the flex plate. So that's there from the factory, just like that. Then we have our OEM flex plate. That goes on next. And hold on, give me 1 second. Alright, so once you get this flex plate all the way flush, it's going to be really tight around the snout here because it's supposed to be. And then, so once you put that, so just to recap, we have a thick spacer, we have the flex plate, then I get another thick spacer, which I ordered online. We're going to throw that on there, just like that. And then we're going to throw our little thin umbrella spacer. And you'll see normally an umbrella is up, open, like that, like this. But with this, we're going to put it backwards, like that. And then we put our flywheel on and then our bolts. And you'll see now we have this perfect for our flywheel to sit on. So I'm going to throw that on, throw the bolts in, and then we're going to use red Loctite on the bolts. And after that, our flywheel will be installed. Oh, look at that. That looks beautiful. Nice lightweight flywheel on my 3UZ. Whew. Alright, so we got that on. We just got to go around and torque those. I'm going to take them all the way to 80 foot-pounds. I usually do 20, 40, 60, 80. That's just me personally. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and throw our clutch system on. We've got this starter right here with these infamous starter bolts. We're going to take those out with our Milwaukee here. Boom, just like that. And now, this beautiful adapter plate from Collins Adapters can pop on here. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand for you guys so we can get a video, but yeah, so we're gonna pop this on and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so I've got that on now, and I did have to trim a little bit of this little shield on this exhaust, just on this 3UZ for some reason, sticking out a little bit so it can be flush. But other than that, it's on. Just gotta tighten the bolts down now. And then we're gonna put the clutch pressure plate on. I think I gotta go get pressure plate bolts. And then I think I'm gonna put it in and then put the transmission up afterwards because it seems a little bit easier. So stay tuned. And yeah, we got 3UZ, non-vvti. Man, spoiled over here. Alright, you guys, so I went and picked up some pressure plate bolts, which are gonna bolt right here to the flywheel. And then I got the ones for the starter mod that we're gonna do. And then after we do that, we're gonna put the engine in the car. And that's it for now. And then I'm gonna put the transmission up afterwards, like I said. Then we're gonna fabricate a trans mount, and that's basically it. So I'm gonna put the clutch on right now. Alright, so we got our clutch fresh out of the bag there. You wanna be real careful with that. This is a sprung 6-puck. This usually would be considered a stage 3, I guess you could say. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put this on, and it can only go one way because if it obviously can't go that way. So because your meat's gonna hit. So the meat side goes towards the transmission. So we're gonna lay this like that, and then that's gonna all go on, and we're gonna align it with the alignment tool here. So the way that works is this rides right inside of that. You see that? It's a nice tight fit, which it should be, because obviously you want to hear that sound. So we're gonna get this lined up, and then we'll show you guys what that looks like all lined up. Alright, so the next step when you're installing your clutch, you've got it all up on there. You've got your dowels aligned where they need to be, one there, and one down there. And then you have your tool popped into that pilot bearing that we showed you, pilot bushing. So this is perfectly centered, and this is engaged with our pilot. So we know our clutch is right where it needs to be. And then you're gonna see a slight gap all the way around. And you're gonna evenly tighten those bolts until that gap closes, and then you're gonna torque those to about 25 to 30 foot-pounds, I think. Or maybe even 20 foot-pounds, I don't know. Look up your spec, I think I do about 25 foot. And then yeah, that's gonna be it. Alright, so you can see everything's on now. And it's not torqued, but everything is flush. And I've now brought the pressure plate to meet perfectly with the flywheel. So that's what you want all the way around. You can see that. And I've got lock washers on there. And then now we're gonna take the torque wrench and torque them down. So it's weird. I almost remember from the first time that it was around 25 or maybe even 28 that we were doing the pressure plate. But everywhere I look online says 14 for a 3S GTE or a 2JZ GTE. So I'm gonna go with around 15 to 20. So Alright, so now that I went over everything with a torque wrench, you can see it's completely centered. Right there. See, you can see the, see if that'll focus. That in there, that's your pilot bearing, bushing in this case, because it's a Nissan. But if it was a Toyota transmission, they use a bearing style pilot. Where did it go? Right here. So you'll see if I stick this in here, this acts as my shaft for my transmission, and it's gonna go right in. And it pops right out, and goes right in. As soon as it hits the splines, it goes in. So you always wanna grease this up a little bit on your transmission. Make sure you clean it and grease it very slightly, because if you put too much, you gotta think this is gonna be spinning, so it's just gonna wick that grease everywhere. Yeah, so once she's dialed like that, you're good to go. And now we're gonna go ahead and do the starter bolt mod, which I already removed these bolts here. I have these other ones I got, and we're gonna go ahead and put those in there. So, gotta take the whole intake off. I wanna show you guys something. So I just popped this throttle body off, which is the first step in removing the intake. And look at this oil in here. Look at that. If you can't see this, look at the whole thing of oil inside the intake. So I think that's just because it's been sitting though. Mechanics be like, where do I wipe this? Alright, so this is for our evap system. It goes right there in the intake, and it's mounted here. This is garbage. We do not need evap. So this will most likely go, or maybe I'll cap it and use this one straight to my booster, to that little hose that's coming off of it. So yeah, this will be my main booster vacuum, and you don't need that evap line there. So yeah, that's that. This is just the ground, and we're just taking off the intake. I still don't want to see that. But anyways, we got this 3UZ intake manifold off here, and we got this valley open. You can see a little bit of carbon buildup in some of these. It's actually not too bad. You can see that. So yeah, it's obviously normal for any engine. So next thing we're gonna do is we're taking these bolts and you run them through the backside, and it's gonna be hard to do this with the camera in my hand. But no, actually, because it's threaded, so I'm gonna have to thread them in. All right, so stay tuned. All right, you guys. So I used a 50mm 10x125 bolt, and you can see here once it focuses, it's just not hitting the adapter plate. I don't know if you can see that barely. You can see it from the side. So it's just carrying that plate with 2 washers on there, and then I'm just gonna put a nut and bolt on this side. And that is your starter mod. Just make sure you don't have any binding issues with the wheel there, which I did have with one of my other 1UZs, but this one seems to be perfect. So that, and then make sure you can turn your engine over with your whole clutch system and flywheel and all that in your starter, because sometimes there's binding issues there. So just make sure that turns freely and you're good. So put these bolts in, put the nuts on, and then put the whole intake back on. So. Alright, so the easiest way to do this, and the way I'm going to do this, if you got 50mm bolts, like I said, I mean, if you got maybe 45, it might just clear right off the bat. But with these, so I don't have to do any cutting, what I'm going to do is stick it in there like this, with the bolts not fully tightened, just enough to where I can thread the nuts on, then I'll tighten the bolts down, then I'll tighten the nuts down, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to put this in there, it actually goes like this, put this in, and then I'll put the nuts on and show you. Alright, you guys, so I got everything back together. Whole harness attached to the starter. Oh, you're gonna want to button this up though. Pop that in. That's all back in. You make sure your 12-volt constant is very tight, because that's not going to start if not. And yeah, everything connected, knock sensors plugged in, and that's pretty much it, folks. After that, put your manifolds back on. I'm gonna clean my throttle body first.
He vlogging out here, son.
Alright, so we got that starter mod done. That's all done. And then homeboy cut me off these flanges, because those are, whew, those are beefy. So that's perfect. Look at that. But yeah. Now we're gonna hook her up and plop her on in there. She. Boom. She's beefy. Clearance is pretty close on the steering shaft, but I think it's just barely touching the heat shield. And then the oil filter, just like I said in the other video, that oil filter is not gonna clear, so. It was actually already smashed like perfectly to clear. But other than that, it sits right on the rack, but it's actually not touching it. Other than that, clears pretty good. I mean, I think you could actually still remove headers in car. Just that fucking heat shield's probably gonna make it a lot harder. And then you have plenty of room back here. You can literally see the clutch. So that's cool. But yeah, that's it for today. Time for some cleanup. Alright you guys, what is going on? So it is the next morning, and all I've done is I just lifted the motor up and took these heat shields off. I wanted to try and run them. Passenger side cleared, but the driver side just made an issue with the steering shaft, which has amazing clearance now that I took that off, so there's no need for those really. I'll probably end up heat wrapping those, or you can even ceramic coat the headers if you really wanted to, but I'm not running any heat shields on that car and it hasn't been an issue. So other than that, engine fits perfectly, other than the oil filter like I mentioned. That I'm gonna have to either remove the sway bar or get a different housing. So that's that. That's not a big deal to me, because like I said, I can just remove the sway bar right now and it clears. So that's done. And look at the rear clearance on this. That is just amazing. You cannot, like literally I'm gonna be able to access the top transmission bolts from right here. Like that is, I've never been able to do that. So valve cover clearance, no hammering has been done. And these mounts can still come forward, these XAT racing mounts. So booster clearance, look at that. Whew, perfect. Everything, this engine is just perfect in this bay. So go ahead and take a look at that. So yeah, we're about to pull it forward, get it up in the air, and then put the transmission up. But first, let me show you guys what I got going on with the pedal situation for this electronic throttle body, because you might have been wondering about that. So we're gonna go over that real quick. But for now, we'll go to the clutch pedal, which is an OEM. What up? Yeah, I guess. All right, so in order to prep this transmission, you gotta cut this big ol' space out of here in order for that starter to engage. Because basically you have that starter gear right there, and that's gonna be kicking out every time, and if not, your car won't start. So we got that all chopped out. And then we're gonna go ahead and clean all the shavings out of here, put the aftermarket throwout bearing on here, and then put the block off plate, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the transmission up. All right, so unfortunately the Z32 trans doesn't fit in here as nicely as it does in the IS300. When I first did the non-vvti engine in here, I could see that right there at the firewall, it looked like it was gonna run right into it. So I'm like, how does that work? But the one guy I know who did a manual Mk3 swap, he uses, and he actually had a 1UZ, he actually uses a, the stock auto bell housing with like a W55 kit. So I don't know anyone that put the Z32 trans in one of these. So got down here, had to do some hammering. It hits back here near the shifter mounting section, and it hits a lot where the bell housing is, obviously, as you can see, because it's gonna have to meet that adapter plate. So that's that. Some more hammering is about to take place, and hopefully it fits on this test, because I'm tired of hammering. All right, you guys, so after like, I don't know, 2 hours of hammering and testing and repeating, the Z32 trans is in the car. I'm gonna modify this stock cross member to bolt into this chassis right there. Poor camera. As you can see, there's clearance for the whole bell housing now, and for everything. Shifter. Sorry, I have my phone light here, but you can see. And the only thing I gotta cut open is the top, because look at the top. That's the shift linkage. There's no room, so that's normal. But I wasn't sure how this transmission was gonna line up for this car, so I didn't get like a shifter shortening bracket. Here, let me show you. That's literally what we're looking at, that back of that shifter plate. So I'm gonna cut this back maybe about 5-6 inches, and then I can just make my own plate to close it back up. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. The shifter's gonna sit pretty far back in this car, but it is what it is. All right, you guys. So finally got the transmission up last night. Made a custom mount thanks to DeLong Fabrication. So basically at that point, if you don't have a fab guy, you're done. But look at that, trans is fully seated to the plate. I'm just gonna run the bolts in right now. Finally went and picked up some bolts. But this, oh my gosh, the clearance on this, you guys, it is not fun. You can see there's a lot of hammering, and everything's really close, but it's gonna be enough. I gotta cut out the top here for the shifter area. You can see the auto hole is really small way up there. So yeah, we're about to put these bolts in, and this trans is sitting nice, you guys. Let me get this out of the way. Show you guys a little better how we're looking under here. Look at that. Clearance all the way at the top. I can feed the top bolts in from the top of the car. I've got plenty of clearance now. The trans is not hitting anywhere. I could literally run a piece of paper through the whole top if I wanted to. That's not hitting anywhere there. So yeah. We're gonna get these bolts in, and she's good. Change out that slave, run the line, and I gotta bleed my master, put that in, put the pedal in, cut the hole like I said, and cut that back. Yeah, we're almost there. So I actually went ahead and pulled the center console out of the Supra, and you can see the tranny is right there. It's actually hitting like right here, so peeled all this back, cut this back a little bit. We're gonna take this e-brake off actually. I'm gonna peel this back a little bit more and then take the e-brake off, and I'm gonna cut, I mean, probably, I don't know, we'll see right now, and you guys will see what I cut. Wow, so I'm definitely another over-engineer for Toyota right here. This center console is like double layered, so it makes it real hard to cut compared to the IS300. Everything about this transmission is harder than the IS300, putting it in there. So, got a lot more cutting to do. I'm gonna get this whole thing open. Alright you guys, so I've got this cut open nicely how I want it, and basically this is our shifter right here. Stock linkage would have came to about right there, but the shifter shortening bracket brings it back to about here. So yeah, we're probably just gonna run that excessive manufacturing shortening bracket, and then if you want to see underneath, that this is fully mounted. See, it's not going anywhere anymore. Underneath, got it all bolted. Everything's clearing, everything's good. Got the bolts in. Bolts in there. I'm stoked. This is gonna be good. So now all I gotta do is I'm gonna swap out this slave cylinder, run the clutch line up to the top, and then I gotta put the clutch pedal in. And I still need to do the modification to the throttle pedal to make that fit. I got a couple of washers and stuff, so I'm gonna try that out. We're here in this box, straight from Rock Auto is where I got this, because nowhere else really has the master for this car. I'm actually running the proper master. That is a OEM clutch pedal. And we're gonna bench bleed this, and basically what you do is you run a line from that fitting hole back into the reservoir, and then you pump this, and what that's gonna do is shoot all of the air out of the system, and there's air inside of the cylinder. You're gonna get that out before you put it in, and then after you do that, you're gonna put it in the car and hook up the line without letting this level drop. So once you do that, you will have successfully bench bled it, and the only thing that will have air is the line itself, which then you can crack the bleeder on the slave and get that out. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. So this is the kit I was talking about. You're gonna run that line, like I said, back into the master. There's usually a clip that holds it on the top, but I don't have it. And yeah, you're just gonna go ahead and pump that, and you'll see air bubbles come out. But you wanna make sure this level doesn't drop and that it's not leaking on here, which it's obviously not. So we're gonna go ahead and do this process and then put it in the car. Alright, so the clutch pedal's in right here. And then I went ahead and chopped the brake pedal so you have nice clearance. And then I need some more spacers to make this work properly. So I'm gonna hold off on this for now. And then that's pretty much it. The shifter, like I said, I gotta get the shortening bracket. Same thing I have in my IS300. Other than that, that's all good. And then pretty much everything else is good. Just like I said, gotta take care of that filter housing situation. Other than that, she is now 3UZ swapped. You see the clutch master here. That went in smoothly. And then just gotta get fuel lines ran and the electrical part of it. So I'll go over that in another video, but for now, this is all we get, folks. So basically she's 90% complete, just needs a drive shaft, and that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna lie, I just realized I forgot to measure for the drive shaft, so I gotta put it back up for that. But other than that, she's mint. Stay tuned, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. But until next time, and hopefully we'll be doing a first start on this thing. Thank you guys.